Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We are back, and we got a little bit of Q to do. We're talking about Bill Clinton today. We're talking about Aunt Loretta Lynch. We're talking about the meeting on the tarmac. So grab your coffee, fist bump your neighbor, and fire up the barbecue. It's going to be a hot summer. Post 3868, 26 minutes after the hour of 12. We got a couple links right here. The first one is to the Twitter status of Q All-Star Carly Q. And you probably know Carly Q already. She's been Q'd so many times, she's going to get her jersey retired in the rafters. I don't know if they do that or not, but they should for Carly Q at Carluska P on Twitter. Carly Q, not to be mistaken for Carlito. Look at me, Carlito. Look at me, Carlito. The secret tarmac meeting. What happens when Loretta Lynch can no longer provide legal cover for the Clintons? Tarmac meetings end. Hashtag the more you know. And this is an interview with a guy named Christopher Sign. And he's got an interesting story to tell, and you may be familiar with this story already. Check it out.
It was the tarmac meeting that rocked 2016, a seemingly secret rendezvous between Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch. If you thought that story was laid to rest, well, think again. Well,
a brand new book from the journalist who broke this story is revealing explosive new information about the encounter. Here now is author of Secret on the Tarmac, Christopher Sign. Chris, good morning to you.
Oh, it's great to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So from the get-go, this just didn't add up, did it?
Not at all. When I broke this story, we knew that something had occurred here that was a bit unusual. It was a planned meeting. It was not a coincidence. It was planned, it happened, and this details everything that they don't want you to know and everything they think you forgot. But Bill Clinton was on that plane for 20 minutes, and it wasn't just about golf, grandkids, Brexit. There's so much that doesn't add up, and even as time has passed, there's so much I think that even Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton have forgotten.
How do you know it was planned and not just a happenstance? Hey, look, our planes are next to each other.
I have a source that walks me through it from point A to point B to point Z. And my source saw it all unfold and says when Bill Clinton arrived at the airport, he waited. He knew Loretta Lynch was taxiing. The plane was moving. He then sat and waited in his car with the motorcade. Her air stairs come down. Most of her staff gets off. He then gets on as the Secret Service and FBI are figuring out how in the world are we supposed to handle this? What are we going to do? You know, this story isn't about right or left, Republican, Democrat. It's about right and wrong in journalism, and that was my focus of this. It's about real journalism, getting to the facts.
But why do you think this didn't get more attention then? I mean, you look at the way that Attorney General Bill Barr is being treated now. You look at the way that the Trump administration has been treated. You think that this would be worthy of more attention than it received and also more scrutiny. Why didn't it get that?
You and I are on the same page on this. As journalists, you have to ask yourself, why are people not delving into this? Why are we not looking into what exactly happened? Loretta Lynch, in December of 18, she went before House Judiciary Committee, House Oversight Committee, excuse me, and testified. And in there, she mentioned that Bill Clinton flattered her, talked about Eric Holder, talked about how things were going at Justice, talked about her job performance, not this golf, grandkids, Brexit.
Well, and you've paid the price for this career-wise. What kind of threats or what have you received?
Well, my family received significant death threats shortly after breaking this story. Credit cards hacked. You know, my children, we have code words. We have secret code words that they know what to do. And that's why I came back to WBMA, ABC 3340 in Birmingham, because when I was enduring the death threats, it was my former Alabama football family and my teammates, my coaches who circled around me.
Wow. So there you have it. We're going to talk a little bit more about this story. Congratulations to Carly Q for getting Q'd. And the second link takes you to the OIG report, which is 500-something pages long. So I hope you got yourself a large coffee because we need to get started. No, I'm just kidding. Q already highlighted page 203 because ain't nobody got time for that. The OPA supervisor said that he later learned that former President Clinton's Secret Service detail had contacted Lynch's FBI security detail and let them know that the former president wanted to meet with Lynch. Although Lynch's staff was supposed to receive notice of such requests, witnesses told us that they were not informed of the request from former President Clinton. Coordination. Well, what was the date of the tarmac meeting? Well, that was June 27, 2016. Date of HRC investigation and announcement be right around July 6th, so just a few days later. 1 + 1 = 2.
-1, that's free, quick maths.
It's going to be a very hot spring/summer. Q.
Got a flashback aside, yeah, take you back, yeah.
Taking you back to post 1556. This is from June 19, 2018. We're talking about a lady named Amanda Renteria, who was also involved in this meeting. You can see her in the video behind Bill Clinton. Q says bridge between Aunt Loretta Lynch and Hillary Clinton. Indeed, she was a financial analyst for Goldman Sachs, and she was also a political director for Hillary Clinton during her 2016 campaign. She's worked with Dianne Feinstein as an advisor, who of course is wrapped up knee-deep in China. She was chief of operations for Attorney General Javier Becerra out there in California. So lots of deep state knuckleheadedry with Amanda Renteria. She ended up running for California governor, and she had some interesting people wanting to speak up and raise some money for her, including President Barack Obama. And Joe Biden actually spoke at her fundraiser. So as you can probably imagine, she's got some deep state knucklehead connections. Now, how do we know this? Because of this witness. Here we have this mention of this witness. Is this the same witness that this sign character is talking about? Well, we don't really know, but we can imagine that it could very well be an FBI whistleblower, because the FBI went into panic mode after all of this. Now, let me just finish this post here. Trusted by Clintons, obviously running for California governor. Who is funding? Well, I just gave you an idea who might be funding, and don't be surprised if there is a Soros mentioned there. Another one that was actually there was Nancy Pelosi. Who is the campaign manager? Her campaign manager is Michael Trujillo. And Michael Trujillo also worked with Clinton. Now, recently, he's been coming out in support of Elizabeth Dances with Wolves Warren. How interesting is that? But more importantly, he has come out against Bernie Sanders. As a matter of fact, this is a little snippet here from a recent article from The Hill. And as you can see right here in the second paragraph, Bernie Sanders is the Democratic Party's version of Donald Trump. Thank God we are smart enough to stop him, said Democratic strategist Michael Trujillo, who served as an aide to Clinton. So you think there might be a little bit of strategy there, considering that Hillary Clinton has been mentioned by Bloomberg recently. It all seems to kind of come together, right? So now all of a sudden we're back on the Bernie Sanders, the anti-Bernie kick, right? But that is Michael Trujillo. Risk is high. Q. Now, another important thing to keep in mind is that we likely have the audio recording of this meeting, and that would be really incredible if we were able to get this out. These planes are equipped with audio recording equipment, of course, and the FBI kind of already copped to that. And as a matter of fact, a few years back, Judicial Watch tried to get a hold of this, and it looked like the NSA were the ones that were blocking this. They were claiming that one of President Obama's executive orders actually protected them in regards to this. So we can already suspect that there is an audio recording, and we can also suspect that this could very well be from an FBI whistleblower, because it was the FBI themselves that went into panic mode after all this went down. As a matter of fact, they were going hunting for this whistleblower. Interestingly enough, they weren't very interested in protecting that whistleblower, right? But we do know that this is possible. So with Mr. Sign going on Fox, is this an allusion to the fact that we are going to be releasing audio very soon? And is that why Q is saying it's going to be a very hot spring, as in hot Mike, hot spring, hot summer?
Got a flashback aside, yeah, take you back, yeah.
That's right, Patriots. 2 for Tuesday. We're taking you back to the 22nd of September 2018, post 2261. Panic in D.C. Loretta Lynch talking equals the truth revealed. Tarmac Bill Clinton. Loretta Lynch talking equals truth revealed. Comey HRC email case. Right, so he was likely on there to try and get Loretta Lynch to drop it, even though he shouldn't have been talking to her in the first place, considering she was investigating his wife, right? But that's what happened. Now, whether or not this Loretta Lynch talking has to do with the audio recording from that conversation, whether this has to do with a legal FISA warrant, or something else, a deposition or something like this, we're not really sure. I have a feeling we're talking about tarmac tapes. But from what Q has implied, the very deal that was being made was in exchange for dropping this email case. Of course, Aunt Loretta Lynch would need to be promised something too. Could that be a spot on the Supreme Court? Given the fact that just months before, Justice Antonin Scalia was found dead in a very, very suspect kind of situation, right? And of course, we're still yet trying to figure out what happened to Ruth Darth Bader Ginsburg, but she seems to still be kicking around. Either way, it looks like Loretta Lynch would have had to have been getting something for this in exchange for making this whole matter a matter. Loretta Lynch talking equals truth revealed. Hussein instructions regarding HRC email case. So was Bill Clinton or Amanda Renteria? Was somebody basically relaying information all the way to the top in exchange for dropping this case? Loretta Lynch talking equals truth revealed. Brennan, no name, coordinated to frame POTUS. And then we have a break there. FISA equals start. And remember, FISA goes both ways. FISA brings down the house. But here's the key thing right here. When do birds sing? Well, we've debated this over quite some time, and maybe possibly birds just simply sing in the spring, right? Maybe these conversations are going to be released sometime in the spring. Maybe Loretta Lynch has been talking all along, and some of that's going to be released in the spring when it gets really, really hot. You tell me. Let's move on. Post 3869, 11 minutes after the hour of 5Q takes it back to the 23rd of December of 2019, and we were talking about Democrats basically falling in line. Who controls the Democrat Party? Who really controls the Democrat Party? Well, Q is hinting that it is George Soros down here, and we're talking a little bit more about George Soros. This takes you to a Twitter link to Ryan Saavedra. And this is an article from the Daily Wire. The Dershowitz, I have proof. Obama ordered FBI investigation at request of George Soros. And here is the article from Daily Wire. Harvard Law School professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz revealed in an interview on Sunday that he has proof that former Democrat President Barack Obama ordered the FBI to investigate someone after far-left billionaire George Soros asked for the investigation. Dershowitz's remarks came after critics have attacked President Donald Trump for tweeting about matters related to the Department of Justice, which led to Attorney General William Barr publicly asking the president to stop last week. There was lots of White House control of the Justice Department during the Kennedy administration, and I don't think we saw very many liberal professors arguing against that, Dershowitz told Breitbart News. I have some information as well about the Obama administration, which will be disclosed in a lawsuit at some point, but I'm not prepared to disclose it now about how President Obama personally asked the FBI to investigate somebody on behalf of George Soros, who was a close ally of his. All right, very sausage stuff indeed. Q says purpose. Democrats install numerous rules and regulations regarding Democratic Party nomination winner. Define superdelegates. How do you control the outcome? Why is the outcome important? When George Soros calls, who races to answer? Illusion of democracy. Okay, so we were just talking about Renteria. We were just talking about her campaign manager and how all of a sudden he seems to be really, really anti-Bernie. And of course, we've got Bloomberg hinting that he wouldn't mind having Hillary on the ticket. And that all seems very strange, doesn't it? It almost seems like some people are set up to win, while others go by the way of Bernie Sanders, right? And it looks like we are setting ourselves up for another heavyweight title fight. Illusion of democracy, that's what it seems like. Post 3870, 15 minutes after the hour of 5. We get this older post here with an older cover of Time magazine, and that's not the White House. People around the world are waking up to the fact, not fiction, that the corporate Democrat Party, politically controlled, 6 corporations own 90% media. Fake news is not unbiased journalism, but politically motivated and controlled. Yeah, you can see that if you follow really any of these major groups on social media. You can see in their comment sections that they're just getting ridden really, really hard these days. There's still some people that will believe everything that's being told to them, but I think overall, around the world, we're seeing this. We're seeing revolts around the world. We're seeing revolutions and protests around the world. And of course, given now with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, I think a lot of people, including those out there in China who have had so much stifling of free thought and free speech, they're starting to see this too and really waking up to this. And it's sadly taken something so extreme to do so, but indeed everyone is finally figuring out that this is all fake news that we're watching on TV, and I think a lot of people are just simply tuning out. Think for yourself, stop being a sheep to their narrative. They will be held accountable. Nobody walks away from this. Now I just want to point out that there is a D2 in the beginning of this picture title here. I haven't really found anything in particular of interest, but if you are on the hunt for that stuff, there you go. Let's move on. Post 3871, 27 minutes after the hour of 9. The gloves are coming off. We get this Twitter status right here to We the People at 45. Harrison Harold. Congrats on getting a shout out there, Harrison Harold. Harkins, Harrison Harold. Is this who George Soros made puppet Hussein investigate? Iran, I won. Not to be confused with Iran and Awan. I was investigated, and it could have been the UK, by Australia, could have been by Italy. I was investigated by the Obama administration. Indeed. Let's check it out.
Tremendous corruption against me. If we feel there's corruption, we have a right to go to a foreign country. And just so you know, I was investigated. Okay, me. In my campaign, I ran, I won. I was investigated. You won't say that, will you? I was investigated, and they think it could have been by UK. They think it could have been by Australia. They think it could have been by Italy. So when you get down to it, I was investigated by the Obama administration. I was investigated. So when these people talk, but as far as I'm concerned, what I want to look at and what we want to investigate, anything having to do with corruption.
Q says, do people really believe this attack can happen against the President of the United States and nothing will happen? Well, I think there's a lot of people out there that probably still think that nothing will happen. I would suggest otherwise. But indeed, we are watching moves and counter moves. Q. Post 3872, 29 minutes after the hour, 9 to be blunt. Game over. Q. Well, we have heard Q reference game over quite a few times, in particular the reference to the movie War Games. And we have also seen President Trump tweet out game over quite a few different times. Shall we play a game and game over? Both of these are references to the movie War Games. So there is a reference right there, but I also want to reference the term blunt, to be blunt. Let's see a few other times that Q has mentioned the term blunt. Now you can see here I have drawn up 4 different times in which Q has used the word blunt, the latest being this one right here, 3872. And then of course the one here, the first time was from post 665. This was from the 5th of February 2018. Okay, so a couple years ago, where Q had just simply said blunt statement. But this is the only time that blunt is in all caps. You'll notice the other 3 times they are not. Now 327 and 325, as you can see, mention mention blunt and direct time, BDT. So for those of you who are newer to my channel or to QAnon, I need to explain here without going into too much detail that there are a couple of different things that I think Q is referencing in terms of this blunt. Now, in reference to 327 and 325, this was at the same time. This was in December 2017, and Q had said BDT. Well, the BDT is the Bangladeshi tikka, and that is their national currency. Q says, think currency. What Q was doing at the time was tipping us off to a Bangladeshi man who attempted to blow himself up in a New York City subway, and that got thwarted. Like Q says, think fireworks, thwarted. Yeah, the guy basically kind of blew his crotch up, and that was about it. But we were warned of this, and this was the time that this was going on. Now, we suspected that this blunt and direct time was also referencing something else, but we weren't really sure. But we did know that at least for those two Q posts, Q was referencing that, and of course couldn't tip us off beforehand, but it was thwarted for a reason. So that was the first time that we saw that. But again, I'm pointing out here on 665, we see that blunt is in all caps. Blunt statement. Well, I can think of a couple of blunt statements, one being from Barack Obama himself.
Let me be blunt. You know, Hillary's got her share of critics. That's what happens when you're somebody who's actually in the arena. That's what happens when you fought for what you believe in. That's what happens when you dedicate yourself to public service over the course of a lifetime. And what sets Hillary apart from so many others is she never stopped caring. She never stopped trying. You know, we're a young country, so we like new things. And I benefited from that culture, let's face it. When I came on the scene in 08, everybody said, well, he's new. They don't say that now because I'm not.
So there is your first. Is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about Senator Roy Blunt from Missouri, who in 2016 released the following statement on the FBI's decision to reopen its investigation of Hillary Clinton's use of emails on a private server. From day one, it has been clear that Secretary Clinton did not take her national security clearance seriously, said Blunt. The law establishes a standard that national security material cannot be handled carelessly. I have serious questions about the way the FBI has handled this case up to now. The immunity given, the potential evidence that was allowed to be destroyed, and political support for the spouse of a senior FBI official are all very concerning. The FBI needs to set a better standard as they reopen this case. Okay, well, that would make a lot more sense in regards to this Blunt statement. Of course, this was back in February of 2018, 2 years ago, where Q was saying, would POTUS make a serious accusation if the truth wasn't about to come to light? Black Forest, Austria, we were talking about the Rothschild family. Fire sale days after post. Yeah, they sold off one of their, not just one of their properties, but one of their most expensive and extensive properties at that time. What went on there? Dopey. And of course, Dopey is referring to one of the CIA's computers named after the Seven Dwarves. You got Dopey and Sneezy and Bashful and Michelangelo and Janine from the Cincinnati office. You get the idea. You have more than you know. Blunt statement. So there you have it, Patriots. Is Q alerting us to another BDT type situation that we need to keep our eyes out for? Very likely could be. Or is this referring to a blunt statement that might lead this whole game to be over? You decide. But those are your Q posts. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who do that already. All my alternate links are down below to my DropSpace, my BitChute, my Gab, my Twitter. All that stuff is linked down below. I'm over there at Twitter at IPOT1776. Won't you give me a join at IPOT1776? My email is down below. If you have information that you'd like to send to me, please do not DM me on Twitter or social media. Just email me. That is linked down below. My P.O. box is down below in case you're old school and want to send something through there. Thanks to all of you who do that. And my Patreon is also linked down below if you'd like to support the channel. All down below in the video description, and I am out of here. Until next time, Patriots, this is Sir Patrick Mack. Stay funky.